Hi everyone, welcome back to BookSmart Insights, a channel for sharing knowledge for personal development through good books. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by anger, puzzled by envy, swept away by joy, or weighed down by sadness? Emotions are fundamental to our human experience, acting as the vibrant and sometimes turbulent currents beneath the surface of our daily lives. They influence our thoughts, shape our decisions, and define our relationships. But how well do we truly understand them? This is the journey offered by the insightful book from France, La Force des émotions, Amour, Colère, Joie, The Strength of Emotions, Love, Anger, Joy. It serves as a clear and compassionate guide into the complex world of our feelings. Beyond just naming them, the book delves into the strength and purpose behind key emotions like love, anger, and joy, as well as others that color our existence, such as sadness, fear, envy, and shame. It seeks to demystify these powerful forces, revealing their underlying mechanisms and demonstrating how they can be understood, managed, and even harnessed for our well-being. This exploration is led by two highly respected French psychiatrists and authors, Christophe André and François Lelord. Christophe André is a leading figure applying mindfulness and positive psychology in France. He is renowned for his numerous best-selling books that skillfully translate psychological insights into practical advice for managing emotions, reducing stress, and cultivating happiness. François Lelord, also a psychiatrist, gained international fame with his beloved Hector series, starting with Hector and the Search for Happiness, which charmingly explores philosophical and psychological themes through relatable stories. Both authors share a remarkable talent for making complex ideas accessible and relevant to everyday life. In La Force des émotions, they combine their clinical experience and engaging writing styles. The book doesn't advocate for suppressing or eliminating emotions. Still, it encourages readers to listen to them, understand their messages, accept their presence, and learn practical strategies to navigate them constructively. It offers valuable perspectives and tools to help transform challenging feelings and foster greater emotional intelligence and balance. So, what are we waiting for? Go ahead and pour yourself a warm cup of tea, find a quiet little corner, and join BookSmart Insights as we explore the hidden power within these seemingly ordinary emotions. Together, we'll decode 7 core emotions, our companions since birth, to learn how to accept our imperfect selves and find peace amidst the storms. Ready? Let's begin. Before we dive deep into each specific emotion, let's ask ourselves, is absolute calmness, utterly unmoved by any event, indeed the most ideal state of being? The author presents an interesting thought experiment about a hypothetical drug called Sommer. Imagine taking this pill and boom, you become remarkably serene. No matter what terrible thing happens or hurtful words someone speaks, your expression remains unchanged, your heart as still as an autumn lake. You can respond to every situation rationally, utterly undisturbed by worldly emotions like anger, sadness, joy, or hatred. Sounds appealing? Like achieving that state of inner peace and tranquility many aspire to. But wait a minute. Before deciding to buy this pill, we must carefully consider its side effects. The author warns that the price of absolute tranquility can be very steep. Firstly, without emotions, you might become indifferent to life itself. Joy, sorrow, love, empathy, the things that spice up our existence, would become bland. Secondly, because you no longer feel hurt or fear, you might inadvertently engage in dangerous behaviors towards yourself and others. Fear helps us recognize limits, and pain helps us learn from experience. Without it, we could become recklessly bold. Thirdly, your memory and judgment might decline. Emotions play a crucial role in memory formation and situation assessment. Fourthly, you would face severe difficulties connecting with others. How can you empathize, love, or build deep relationships when your heart is completely immobile? At this point, perhaps we all realize that emotions, despite sometimes bringing pain and trouble, are the very lifeblood of existence, the glue that connects us to each other and the world. They aren't enemies to be destroyed, but rather messengers carrying vital information about our needs, values, and experiences. The issue isn't whether to have emotions, but how to understand and manage them healthily. So, how do emotions work? Basically, every emotion is a flowing current of energy within our body, comprising three main components: physiology. When an emotion arises, moving from a calm state to agitation, our body exhibits noticeable physical reactions. Heart beats faster, blood pressure rises, breathing quickens, muscles tense up, or conversely, a feeling of heaviness, fatigue. These are the initial signals that an emotional energy current flows through you. 2. Cognition. Emotions strongly influence how we think and perceive the world. Your focus might narrow when angry, concentrating only on the person or event causing the anger. When sad, you might get stuck in negative thoughts, feeling bleak. When happy, you see the world through rose-tinted glasses, easily overlooking minor details. 3. Behavior. Ultimately, emotions motivate us to act. Anger makes us want to shout or break things. Sadness makes us want to withdraw. Joy makes us want to share and dance. Fear makes us want to flee or fight. Behavior is how we express emotions outwardly. Understanding these three components helps us recognize emotions more clearly when they appear, instead of being swept away by them unconsciously. And now, let's delve deeper into exploring each of these familiar emotional guests. First up, an emotion that perhaps quite a few of us struggle with daily: anger. Anger. Oh, a fire that can flare up within us at any moment. Have you noticed how differently people express anger? Some immediately bristle like a porcupine, face flushed, voice sharp. Actions might include slamming tables and doors, or even using hurtful words or actions towards others. They're like erupting volcanoes, releasing all the pressure outwards. But then others are the complete opposite. When angry, they choose silence, swallowing the bitterness and suppressing it tightly. Outwardly, they may seem calm, but a storm is raging inside. They fear hurting others, fear being judged as emotionally uncontrolled, or don't know how to express anger healthily. According to the book, neither of these ways of dealing with anger, uncontrolled outbursts, and excessive suppression, is optimal and could even be considered flawed. Erupting in anger can damage relationships and lead to regret. Suppressing it, on the other hand, can harm our own mental and physical health, like a ticking time bomb. So what's the right way? It's directly confront it, understand the root cause of the anger, and then find constructive ways to resolve it. Sounds simple, but how do we clearly understand our rage? We need to ask ourselves, why am I angry in this situation? The causes of anger seem complex, but the book summarizes them into a few main reasons. 1. You don't want something to happen. Plans fall through, work isn't going as expected, and someone acts against your wishes. Dissatisfaction with reality is a common source of anger. 2. You feel intentionally harmed or mistreated by others. Disrespectful words, actions causing difficulties, favoritism, ... Feeling violated or disregarded strongly triggers an angry response. 3. Something happens that contradicts your core values. You value honesty but witness deceit. You champion fairness but see injustice. This clash of values can provoke deep anger. 4. a crucial factor we sometimes overlook is that you get angry because you believe you can or should control the situation or the other person, and allow yourself to be angry. Let's ponder the example the author provides. What would you feel if you were walking in a forest and suddenly encountering a tiger? Most of us would feel overwhelming fear because we know we are completely vulnerable and unable to control the situation. But if you were Wu Song from the legend, strong and skilled enough to fight a tiger, your emotion might be anger, an energy source to combat and control the beast. Applying this to daily life, when you yell at a loved one, a friend, or a subordinate, isn't it mainly because you believe you have the right to? That you can control them? That no matter how harsh your words, they won't leave you or can't do anything back? This is a realization worth contemplating. The book reminds us of an important truth. No one is irreplaceable or guaranteed to stay. Not even your dearest loved ones or closest colleagues. Those who allow you to vent your anger on them might do so out of genuine love and tolerance, but they might also do it out of fear. And a relationship built on fear can never have genuine sincerity, openness, or connection. Do you want that? So, how can we handle anger more healthily? The author proposes a multi-step process, like tools to help us cool down and transform this negative energy. Step 1. Dialogue with yourself and question ingrained beliefs. Ask yourself, what belief makes me think others must act according to my wishes? Is my expectation realistic and reasonable in every situation? Recognizing irrational beliefs is the first step to reducing baseless anger. Step 2. Reduce anger-provoking factors. After understanding your anger, see if you can change the situation or change yourself to lessen the triggers. For example, if a colleague constantly annoys you with a particular habit, try discussing it frankly, setting clear boundaries, or finding ways to improve the shared workflow instead of just simmering. Sometimes a slight change from your side can make a big difference. Step 3. Learn to think from others' perspectives. Practice empathy. Buddhism teaches that anger often stems from an oversized ego. I am important. My opinion matters. My values matter most. Your anger might significantly subside when you put yourself in someone else's shoes and try to understand the reasons behind their actions or words. Even if you disagree, maybe they didn't mean it, or they're facing difficulties or misunderstandings. Step 4. Focus on behavior, not personal attacks. This communication skill is crucial. Instead of saying, "Why can't you do anything right?" try, "This task wasn't done according to the requirements, didn't achieve the desired result." Attacking specific behavior is more constructive than labeling the person, making feedback easier to accept and preventing conflict escalation. Step 5. Think carefully before expressing. The pause rule. When the flames of anger first ignite, don't rush to speak, text, email, or post on social media. Give yourself a pause. Breathe deeply. Step outside for a moment. This pause rule helps you regain composure and rationality, avoiding impulsive reactions you'll later regret. Similarly, don't hastily promise or agree to things when you're overly happy, as elevated emotions can also cloud judgment. Step 6. Give the other person a chance to express themselves. Sometimes things aren't as you think. Create space for the other person to explain their perspective or actions. Maybe it's a misunderstanding, or they didn't intentionally violate the principle that angered you. Listening openly can defuse a lot of potential anger. Step 7. Leave if you can't control yourself. If anger overwhelms you, the best approach is to temporarily remove yourself from the situation. Calmly say, "I or Mom, I need to calm down for a bit. Let's talk later." Then go to another room or walk outside. Changing your environment effectively helps cool down emotions. Step 8. Learn to let go and accept. This might be the most challenging but liberating step. Look back. Is the thing making you angry really that big of a deal? Will it still matter in 5 years? Practice accepting that life doesn't always go your way and that everyone has flaws and makes mistakes, including you. When you can accept happenings with greater equanimity, anger naturally loses its power. Another important aspect the book touches upon is the state of lacking anger, or more accurately, suppressing anger. Many people hold limiting beliefs like, I must always control my emotions, or I'll be seen as immature. I must never hurt others, or I'm a bad person. These beliefs prevent them from expressing legitimate anger, leading to feelings of resentment, frustration, and other feelings, and even severe mental and physical health issues, as mentioned earlier. The best approach is to change those beliefs. Instead of, I must always be in control, think, I am learning to manage my emotions, but I also have the right to express anger healthfully when necessary. Instead of, I can only be angry when I'm 100% right, think, being angry when justified is right, but I also have the right to make mistakes and don't need to be so hard on myself. Instead of I need to appear friendly for people to accept me, affirm, I hope people accept me, but I don't need everyone to like me. Learning to be angry healthfully is also part of emotional maturity, my friends. It's about knowing how to protect your boundaries, express legitimate needs, and resolve conflicts constructively. Next, let's explore another widespread emotion, but one that's often much more carefully concealed: envy. Unlike anger or sadness, which often show clearly on our faces, envy acts more like a silent internal drama. You can rarely look at someone and definitively say, that person is envious. It's an insidious feeling, a simmering comparison, a tearing sensation within. Have you ever experienced this? For example, you visit the home of an old friend your age. You both started from similar points. Perhaps you were even academically better. But now your friend has a beautiful house, a happy family, and a successful career. Outwardly, you smile and congratulate them. But deep down, an indescribable feeling arises. A little sadness, admiration, self-doubt, and a touch of envy. You might tell yourself, I'm being jealous. But according to psychology, this is envy. The book clarifies the subtle difference between envy and jealousy. Envy is typically directed towards the happiness, success, or material possessions that someone else has and you wish you had. Jealousy, which we'll discuss more later, often related to relationships, is the fear of losing something you possess and want to keep exclusively, like love or attention, to a third party. Back to envy. Typically, people react to envy in 3 main ways. 1. Depressive envy. When seeing others succeed, people prone to this type think things like, oh, good things like that will never happen to me. I'm so unlucky, and I could never do what they did. This emotion leads to low self-esteem, withdrawal, and loss of motivation. It drags your energy down. 2. Hostile envy. This type is more damaging and destructive. Typical thoughts include, someone like them managed to do this? They probably just got lucky. It's nothing special. People with this kind of envy often feel threatened by others' success. They tend to find faults, gossip, or try to undermine the other person's image to feel superior themselves. 3. Admiring envy. This is the healthiest and most constructive type. Seeing others succeed, people with this reaction think, wow, she is really talented. Getting that promotion/achievement is totally deserved. Their success inspires me, and I need to learn from them and work harder. This type of envy turns comparison into motivation for progress. So not all envy is terrible. Good envy, the admiring type, can push us to grow. But bad envy, depressive and hostile types, can make us miserable and demoralized and even lead to actions that harm others and ourselves. Therefore, managing envy, especially the two harmful types, is crucial. How can we manage envy? Step 1. Honestly acknowledge your envy. This is the first and most crucial step. Instead of trying to hide or deny that uncomfortable feeling, bravely name it. You can tell yourself, I'm envious of A's success, or even if the relationship is close and safe enough, you could honestly share with the person you envy. Your new house is beautiful. Exactly my dream house. Living here must be wonderful. Honestly, I feel a little envious. Speaking it out frankly often significantly relieves the negative emotion and sometimes even makes the other person feel appreciated. Step 2. Express envy positively. Transform it into admiration. If you can't do it directly, try to transform the energy of envy into admiration and sincere congratulations. Think about the effort the other person put into achieving that result. For example, you must have worked incredibly hard over the years to afford this house. I'm genuinely happy for you. Feeling happy for someone else from the bottom of your heart is a high-energy emotional expression. It lifts you up instead of pulling you down. Step 3. Check for underlying feelings of inferiority or superiority. Ask yourself, am I thinking I'm inferior to them? Am I comparing myself unfairly? People who always want to show their best side and feel being less than others are often susceptible to depressive envy. Conversely, check if you're thinking, I should be better than others. An inflated ego makes it easy to feel resentful when others surpass you, leading to hostile envy. Identifying these thoughts helps you understand the root of your envy. Step 4. Diminish the imagined superiority of others in your eyes. Often, the superiority of others we envy is exaggerated mainly by our egos. Try to see things more objectively. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses and faces hidden struggles we don't see. Their success doesn't mean your failure. Life isn't a race with only one winner. The author suggests that in reality, nothing is worth envying to the point of misery. Step 5. Direct envy towards something worthwhile. If we must envy something, the author suggests there's only one virtue worth envying and learning from: the ability to create happiness from simple things. Envy the roadside mechanic who finds joy in his work. Envy the person who finds fulfillment in helping others, and envy the person who can face difficulties with equanimity. Turn the feeling of envy into motivation to cultivate your inner happiness rather than just focusing on the external achievements of others. Through these insights, we can learn to view envy more healthily, turning it into wind in our sails and focusing on our growth journey. After exploring somewhat heavy emotions like anger and envy, let's turn to an emotion everyone loves and wants more of: joy and happiness. Are you familiar with the Duchenne smile? It's named after the French physician Guillaume Duchenne, who discovered it. A Duchenne smile involves the mouth muscles and the natural crinkling of the muscles around the eyes, creating those lovely crow's feet. This is a sign of a genuine smile, true joy from within. Take a moment and think back. How many Duchenne smiles have you had today? Joy and happiness are the emotions with the most positive and far-reaching impact on our lives. Why is that? Firstly, joy makes people more generous. This isn't just a subjective feeling. It's been proven by psychological experiments. One interesting study showed that participants who had just experienced joy and amusement were likelier to give money to a beggar outside than those who hadn't experienced positive emotions. Interestingly, this relationship is two-way. Joy makes us generous, And acts of generosity also bring happiness and fulfillment. So, keep giving smiles, help, and kindness, and you'll receive joy in return. Secondly, joy enhances creativity and leads to better decision-making. When we're happy, our minds become more open and flexible, making connecting ideas and seeing novel solutions easier. Joy doesn't lead to hasty, impulsive decisions. That's often short-lived excitement or pleasure, but rather to higher quality decisions, considered more carefully in a positive mental state. Thirdly, joy fosters courage and caution. We often hear sayings implying that too much pleasure leads to recklessness, but according to the author, that's not true joy. Genuinely happy people, content from within, are often willing to take on challenges and act towards their goals. Still, they do so more cautiously and consciously, not blindly or recklessly. Fourthly, happy people tend to dislike boredom. They seek out and choose interesting and challenging tasks and offer opportunities for learning and growth. So, if you want to be happier at work, try willingly taking on slightly more difficult tasks or projects that require creativity. This is how you turn work into a source of joy and personal development. However, happiness isn't monolithic. The author categorizes happiness into 4 states based on 2 dimensions: the source, external or internal, and the intensity, excited or calm. Let's see which type you experience most often. 1. Excited joy, external source. This is the feeling of elation and jubilation from achieving an external goal or receiving recognition. Examples: getting good grades, winning a competition, receiving praise, getting an unexpected gift. This feeling is often intense, but can be short-lived, common in adolescence. 2. Excited joy, internal source. This is a deeper state of happiness linked to the sense of accomplishment from realizing meaningful life goals, engaging in a career or activity you're genuinely passionate about and find valuable, and finally achieving results. This is the joy of self-development, of living purposefully, Aristotelian happiness. 3. Calm happiness, external source. A feeling of contentment, satisfaction, and peace derived from pleasant external experiences. Examples: sitting in a quiet garden, sipping tea while watching children play, enjoying a delicious meal with loved ones, feeling safe and comfortable in a familiar space. It's not as intense as excited joy, but gentle and serene. 4. Calm happiness, internal source. This is known as inner serenity or equanimity. It comes from a deep understanding of oneself and the meaning of life, accepting life's impermanence. Knowing that everything passes, people in this state can live calmly, enjoy the process of experience, and find peace even amidst adversity. Importantly, all 4 states of happiness are valuable and bring positive energy. No single type is superior to another. A pleased life often involves a blend of all 4. So how can we improve our level of happiness? First, ask yourself, right now, what makes me happy? What does my ideal happiness look like? Which of the 4 types is it closest to? What was the happiest moment I've ever experienced? Have I missed out on any happy moments? Does what makes me happier truly depend on me? These questions help you clarify your needs and values, reorienting your priorities. Understand the factors influencing happiness. Happiness doesn't depend heavily on money or age. Research shows that more money doesn't significantly increase happiness once basic needs are met. Contrary to popular belief, many people feel happier as they age, possessing more maturity, experience, and equanimity in the face of life's storms. Youth has passion, opportunity, anxieties, worries, and vulnerability to setbacks. Happiness depends on health. Even minor pain can significantly reduce feelings of happiness. Therefore, taking care of physical and mental health is a crucial foundation. Personality. Are you optimistic, quickly finding joy in small things, resilient after difficulties? Personality plays a significant role in how you experience happiness. The good news is that personality can be cultivated. Quality of relationships, especially marriage. Good, loving, supportive relationships are among the strongest predictors of happiness. Invest time and effort in nurturing essential connections, and be very careful when choosing a life partner. Beliefs. What do you believe in? If you only believe in money or fleeting fame, you might never feel content and happy. A positive belief system and faith, religious or non-religious, can provide meaning and stability in life. Meaningful career or work. Feeling engaged in work you enjoy that benefits society, or simply feeling that you are contributing and growing, is also a significant source of happiness. Influence of family and friends. Your social environment also affects your happiness. Surround yourself with positive, optimistic, and supportive people. Remember the most essential key. True happiness isn't about constantly chasing and accumulating more external things that please you. As the author emphasizes, happy people are happy because they find happiness in all situations, not because the events or circumstances they encounter make them more satisfied than others. Happiness is an attitude, a skill that can be learned and practiced. It's about knowing contentment with what you have, being grateful for small things, learning to be equanimous in the face of success and failure, and accepting both the perfection and imperfection of life and yourself. We've just journeyed through the bright land of joy and happiness. Now let's together face an emotion everyone has experienced, but often tries to avoid. Sadness and suffering. No one can escape days when dark clouds gather over the soul. It could be a sadness from being criticized by a boss, from losing a beloved pet, from a failed plan, from a breakup, from facing illness, or simply a vague melancholy without a clear cause. Though the expression and intensity vary, the book points out that all sadness fundamentally shares a common characteristic: a sense of loss. Loss of trust, loss of companionship, loss of health, loss of normal abilities, loss of wealth, loss of a relationship, loss of a dream, or even loss of meaning in oneself. All these losses can make our hearts ache and plunge us into sorrow. We tend to only welcome joy and desperately fear or push away sadness. But like other emotions, sadness arises for a reason and has its role. It's not entirely negative. Sadness is a teacher. It helps us realize what's important and what we genuinely cherish, often only recognized upon loss. It prompts us to reflect on past mistakes, actions, and aspects of life or ourselves that need changing. It teaches us lessons to avoid similar situations in the future. Sadness connects people. We often become more vulnerable when we're sad. This vulnerability can evoke compassion, care, and help from those around us. Sadness creates opportunities for others to show love and for us to feel connected. Conversely, having experienced sadness equips us with more profound empathy for others' pain, allowing us to support them in difficult times. Therefore, sadness isn't as scary as we might think. It's a natural and necessary part of the human experience. What's frightening is when we allow ourselves to get stuck in sadness for too long, until it drowns our entire being, causing imbalance, loss of faith, and hope. So when feeling overwhelmed by sadness, how should we overcome it without being consumed? Step 1. Accept the sadness. This is the first and often the hardest step, Instead of resisting, denying, or pretending you're okay, allow yourself to feel sad. Acknowledge that I am sad, I am hurting. Acceptance doesn't mean weakness or surrender. It means honestly facing your emotional reality. People with deep spiritual lives or beliefs often do this better. They might view sadness as part of karma, a debt to be paid, a lesson to be learned, a chosen path to walk. With such a broader perspective, the pain feels less personal, becoming an experience with deeper meaning, making acceptance and overcoming easier. Accepting pain simply as an experience helps you recognize the value and lessons behind it. Step 2. Express sadness carefully. Bottling it can make it heavier. Reach out to a trusted friend, a loved one, or a mental health professional to share your feelings. Voicing your heartaches relieves pressure and helps you feel heard and understood. However, express carefully. This means don't turn yourself into someone who only complains, endlessly repeating your pain without intending to find a way out. Share to release, seek support, and not wallow further in it. Step 3. Redirect focus consciously. After allowing yourself to feel sad and express it, consciously shift your focus to other activities. Think back. What used to bring you joy? Do you have any forgotten hobbies? Is there something new you've always wanted to try? Actively plan and engage in these activities, even if you don't feel enthusiastic initially. Physical activity, walking, running, yoga, connecting with nature, learning a new skill, volunteering, watching a comedy, or reading a good book can all help pull you out of the whirlpool of sadness. Step 4. Seek professional help. If sadness persists for a long time, significantly impacts your daily life, eating, sleeping, work, relationships, and the self-help methods above aren't effective, don't hesitate to seek help from psychologists, therapists, or psychiatrists. They have the professional knowledge and tools to help you understand your situation better and provide appropriate therapies. Remember, like clouds in the sky, sadness will come and go. Be patient, give yourself time to heal, and don't forget that the sun will shine again after the rain. The next emotion we'll dissect together is quite delicate, sometimes making us blush and want to disappear. Shame. Shame is that painful, uncomfortable feeling that arises when we believe we are inferior, inadequate, inappropriate, or at risk of being looked down upon or negatively judged by others. It often comes with distinct physical signs like blushing, lowering one's head, avoiding eye contact, and speaking in a hushed voice. Indeed, we've all had experiences with shame, especially during adolescence. Perhaps shame about our appearance, too fat, too thin, acne. Shame about our family circumstances not matching peers, parents doing manual labor, a house not being nice, old vehicle. I remember the video mentioned the very real example of young people telling their parents, "Don't pick me up at the school gate," or "Wait for me over there," simply because they felt ashamed in front of their friends. Looking back at those childish shame as adults, many might feel regret and greater love for their parents. So, why do we feel shame? The book indicates this feeling often arises when we think we haven't achieved unity or have violated implicit rules within a social group based on 4 main principles. 1. Consistency. We tend to feel shame when we differ negatively from those around us, especially those we consider peers. For example, if all your friends have new scooters and you only have an old one, some young people might feel out of place and ashamed. Or at a fancy party, everyone is dressed up. Still, if you're dressed too casually, you might feel inappropriate and ashamed. 2. Reciprocity, mutual support. We often feel shame when our selfish actions, lack of cooperation, or unfairness are exposed to others. The example from the book is quite apt. On the first day of moving into a dorm, everyone cheerfully shares snacks brought from home. but one girl waits until everyone leaves to secretly eat the special cake her mom prepared. Unfortunately, the others return unexpectedly and catch her. The feeling of shame in this situation is entirely understandable, as her action goes against the shared spirit of the group. 3. Physiology. Changes or characteristics related to the body, especially those concerning gender, development, or bodily functions we consider private, if revealed at the wrong time or place, can also cause shame. Examples: shame about puberty starting too early or too late compared to peers. Shame about different body features. Shame about unexpected bodily accidents. 4. Competitive pressure. In highly competitive environments, performing poorly or not achieving the same results as others in the group can also lead to feelings of shame. For instance, if the whole team meets their monthly targets except for you, it might make you feel inadequate and ashamed in front of colleagues and superiors. Although shame is uncomfortable, it also has its own positive role. The primary function of shame is as a social signal, helping regulate our behavior to fit group norms, and more importantly, it often makes others more tolerant towards us. Imagine this: you're waiting in line at the supermarket and accidentally drop your bag, spilling everything onto the floor. If at this moment you act indifferent and unfazed, slowly picking up your things and ignoring the people waiting behind you, you'll indeed receive annoyed glances, maybe even scolding words. But what if you immediately blush, look embarrassed, repeatedly apologize, and quickly gather your belongings? People around you are usually more understanding. Someone will help you. See, shame in this case enabled you to score points socially and receive tolerance. It's like an admission. I know I made a mistake, caused inconvenience, and I feel bad about it. However, like all emotions, shame has a downside if it becomes excessive or inappropriate. I'm someone who is always stooped, head down, shy, afraid to communicate or express themselves for fear of making mistakes or being judged, will find it challenging to integrate. Chronic shame can lead to social isolation and missed opportunities in life and work. Especially for teenagers, excessive shame can lead to being excluded or bullied, becoming a victim of shame. Sadly, some people who have done nothing wrong, even victims, live with a heavy burden of shame. Classic examples are survivors of sexual assault or domestic violence. Although society and the law may be on their side, their inner dignity, the moral standards they set for themselves, or the judgment, intended or unintended, from others, can make them feel ashamed, guilty, and unable to accept themselves. This is an immense psychological burden. So, how can we manage shame so it doesn't become a barrier or an obsession in our lives? Step 1. Express the shame appropriately. Similar to sadness, voicing feelings of shame can lessen their weight. The French Nobel laureate in literature 2022, Annie Ernaux, famously said, "The worst thing about shame is thinking you're the only one who feels it." The reality is that when you feel shame, others can often sense it. Instead of trying to hide it awkwardly, sometimes gently acknowledging it is more effective. Step 2. Reframe shame as embarrassment/awkwardness. Try to downgrade the emotion. Shame often carries heavy self-judgment. I am terrible. Embarrassment or awkwardness, oh, this situation is so awkward, embarrassing, feels lighter and less self-condemning. Embarrassment can often be dissipated with a self-deprecating smile or a lighthearted comment. It doesn't penetrate as deeply as shame does. Step 3. Reduce interaction with people who intentionally shame you. Pay attention. Are there people around you who habitually joke by putting others down, exposing your flaws in public, or making comments that make you feel ashamed? These individuals often lack maturity. They might be projecting their fears and anger onto others. The best approach is to recognize them and feel some sympathy, as they have their own issues. But more importantly, keep your distance and limit interactions. Please don't become a victim of their negative emotional release. Step 4. Introspect on inner beliefs and demands. Ask yourself, am I setting excessively high, perfectionistic standards for myself? Where do the standards that make me feel ashamed really come from? From myself or external pressure? The book also suggests looking into Adlerian psychology, e.g., through his book, What Life Should Mean to You, to understand feelings of inferiority, which often accompany shame, and how to transform them into a driving force for growth, becoming superior in your own unique way. Accepting that everyone is clumsy sometimes, makes mistakes, and you don't need to be perfect in everyone's eyes is key to freeing yourself from unnecessary shame. We've journeyed through anger, envy, joy, sadness, and shame. Now, let's explore a close relative of envy, but one that typically appears in a more specific context: jealousy, particularly in love and marriage. As distinguished earlier, if envy is wanting what someone else possesses, jealousy is the fear of losing something you currently have or believe you have, especially the affection, attention, or loyalty of a lover or spouse to a third party. Feelings of jealousy often flare up when we perceive a threat to our significant relationship, whether real or imagined. It's also frequently a sign of a lack of self-confidence or insecurity about the partner's feelings. When the flames of jealousy ignite, they rarely burn alone. They often bring a whole squad of other negative emotions: anger towards the partner or the third party, fear of abandonment, loneliness, sadness, feeling betrayed, unloved, and sometimes even shame, feeling unreasonably jealous or unattractive. Clearly, this is a complex emotion that can cause a great deal of pain. But why do humans experience jealousy? What role does it play? The book explains that jealousy also has roots in our evolutionary history. In primitive societies, where food and resources were scarce, jealousy played a crucial role in procreation and survival. For men, the emotion of jealousy, though its expression might vary, helped ensure that the child they invested effort in raising was indeed their own, carrying their genes. If a man was too comfortable letting his wife interact freely with other men, the risk of unknowingly raising another man's child increased. For women, securing her man, preventing him from sharing resources, food, protection with other women and their offspring, was also a vital survival strategy to ensure she and her children had enough to survive. Although modern society has abundant food and much better living conditions, the genes dictating jealousy seem to persist within us. To some extent, it helps maintain the uniqueness, commitment, and boundaries in intimate relationships. A little bit of healthy jealousy is sometimes even seen as a sign of love and care, showing that the partner truly values the relationship. However, problems arise when jealousy becomes excessive and uncontrolled, turning into possessiveness and morbid suspicion. The three main characteristics of excessive jealousy are often: 1. Intense monitoring, constantly checking the partner's phone, messages, emails, and social media, interrogating them extensively about their schedule and relationships, spying or hiring someone to spy. 2. Restricting partner's contact with others, forbidding or showing displeasure when the partner interacts with friends or colleagues of the opposite sex or even the same sex, trying to isolate the partner from other social connections. 3. Belittling and critical attitude, constantly suspecting and accusing the partner of infidelity, even without evidence, undermining the partner's worth or attractiveness to make them feel insecure and afraid to leave. People exhibiting this kind of pathological jealousy often operate from a very low emotional energy state, living in constant insecurity and fear, while causing immense suffering to both themselves and their partners. So, how can we manage jealousy more healthfully? Step 1. Acknowledge and confront the jealousy. Once again, honesty with oneself is the starting point. I am feeling jealous. I am feeling insecure about this relationship. Don't try to ignore it or blame the partner entirely. Recognize this as your emotion and that you need to understand it. Step 2. Inquire into the deeper roots. Where does this jealous feeling come from? Have I ever been hurt by a past partner's infidelity? Did I witness infidelity or marital breakdown in my parents' marriage? Childhood experiences can profoundly shape how we view relationships later. Am I feeling inadequate, not good enough, or not attractive enough to keep someone long-term? Is this insecurity genuinely based on concrete evidence in the current relationship, or does it mainly stem from my inner fears? Answering these questions honestly helps you discern whether your jealousy is a reasonable response to a real threat or primarily rooted in past wounds or personal insecurities. Step 3. Communicate openly and constructively with your partner. If your jealousy has grounds or is affecting the relationship, find ways to talk frankly with your partner about your feelings and fears, but in a non-accusatory or attacking manner. For example, instead of saying, "You're always flirting," try, "I feel a bit insecure, worried when I see you," and explain precisely what behavior triggered that feeling. The goal is for your partner to understand your emotions and to find solutions or reassurance together. Step 4. Seek help if needed. If feelings of jealousy continue to cause serious problems for you and the relationship, despite your efforts at self-regulation and communication, consider seeking help from counselors or couples therapists. They can help both partners understand the deeper dynamics and learn ways to rebuild trust and security. Step 5. Allow personal space for your partner and yourself. Trying to control and monitor your partner's every move not only fails to reduce the risks you fear, but can create suffocation and resentment, pushing them further away, potentially making your fears a self-fulfilling prophecy. A healthy relationship requires trust and respect for each other's personal space. Trust your partner until there's clear evidence otherwise, and focus on your life, hobbies, and friendships to build self-confidence and independence from within. Jealousy is a very human emotion. A dash of it might spice up love, but too much can destroy everything. Learning to manage it is a vital skill for building lasting and happy relationships. And finally, let's confront the most primal emotion, a fundamental protective mechanism that has helped humanity survive for millions of years: fear. Fear is the natural response to perceived threats or potential dangers, whether real or imagined. For us adults, the objects of fear are diverse. Fear of animals, insects, spiders, cockroaches, mice, snakes, small creatures that could carry disease or cause harm in our species' distant past. Fear of natural situations, fear of heights, fear of enclosed spaces like elevators, small rooms, fear of deep water, fear of thunderstorms, fear of the dark, situations with potential for accidents or loss of control, fear related to the body, fear of blood, fear of needles, fear of illness, fear of pain, social fears, fear of public speaking, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of conflict, existential fears, fear related to death, loss, loneliness, meaninglessness. Why do we fear these things? Most basic fears are linked to real dangers our ancestors faced during evolution. Humans fear snakes because venomous snakes can kill. Fear heights because falling can be fatal. Fear the dark because it conceals predators or unseen hazards. Fear is an incredibly effective survival mechanism, keeping us alert and away from danger. However, not all fears in modern humans are innate or stem from actual danger. Many fears are acquired later as we grow and interact with our environment. Fears rooted in culture or belief. Fear of ghosts, demons, bad luck. Violating taboos. Fears rooted in social relationships. Children fearing strict parents. Students fearing harsh teachers. Subordinates fearing powerful bosses. This fear sometimes helps maintain social order, but can also cause stress and inhibition. Fears rooted in past negative experiences. Being bitten by a dog as a child can lead to a persistent fear of dogs. Nearly drowning can cause a fear of water, and fear stemming from false beliefs or inner insecurity. Fear of not being safe enough, financially, emotionally, fear of betrayal, fear of lack, fear of an uncertain future. These fears often aren't based on immediate specific threats, but are pervasive anxiety. Usually, these fears lead people to try desperately to control everything around them, or fill the void of insecurity with material possessions or power. Regardless of the origin, fear is usually an unpleasant, uncomfortable emotion. No one wants to live in constant fear. In fact, many people overreact out of fear, paralyzing themselves or missing valuable opportunities. When fear turns into negative energy, causing chronic anxiety and self-doubt about yourself and the world, that's when you need to find ways to manage it. So, how can we confront and manage our feelings of fear? Step 1. Acknowledge and express the fear. Once again, acknowledgement is the starting point. Don't try to act tough or hide your fear when you're clearly feeling it. Be honest with yourself. I am scared. Share that fear with someone you trust. Voicing the fear provides release and elicits empathy, support, or new perspectives that might lessen the anxiety. Sometimes, simply saying, "I'm afraid of public speaking," is a brave first step towards facing it. Step 2. Gather information. Hold the fear. Fear often accompanies feelings of uncertainty and lack of control. One way to reduce fear is to proactively gather as much information as possible about the feared object or situation. For example, if you fear traveling alone to an unfamiliar place, thoroughly research the destination, culture, transportation, safe accommodation, things to be aware of. When you feel well prepared and informed, your sense of control increases, and fear diminishes. If you fear a medical procedure, ask the doctor to explain the process, benefits, and risks in detail. Knowledge can dispel vague worries. Step 3. Learn relaxation techniques. When scared, our sympathetic nervous system activates. The heart races, breath quickens, and muscles tense. Learning relaxation techniques can help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, returning the body to a calmer state. Simple yet effective methods include deep breathing. Focus on your breath. Inhale slowly through the nose. Expand the belly. Hold for a few seconds, and then exhale slowly through the mouth. Repeat several times. Progressive muscle relaxation. Tense and then release different muscle groups throughout your body. Hands, shoulders, face, legs. Meditation, mindfulness. Focus on the present moment, observing the feeling of fear without judgment. Visualization. Imagine a peaceful, safe scene. Step 4. Confront the fear. Gradual exposure. This is considered the most effective method for overcoming anxiety, especially phobias. The key principle is to bravely and proactively expose yourself to the feared object or situation gradually, systematically, and at a level you can manage. Create a fear hierarchy. List situations related to your fear, ranking them from least to most scary. Start with the easiest step. Practice facing the least scary situation on your list until you feel comfortable and your fear level significantly decreases. Gradually move up. Once comfortable at a lower level, slowly move to the next higher level. Repeat and persist. This process takes time and patience. Don't get discouraged if you feel like retreating sometimes. Combine with relaxation techniques. Use deep breathing or muscle relaxation during exposure to manage anxiety. Example: if you fear public speaking, start by speaking in front of a mirror, then to a few family members. Join a small group, and only then move to more extensive presentations. If you fear cats, start by looking at pictures of cats, videos, observing a cat from a distance, then getting closer with someone else controlling it, and only then attempting to touch it. Overcoming fear doesn't mean you'll never feel scared again. It means that fear will no longer control or paralyze your life. You can feel the fear and still act bravely. And so we've journeyed together through exploring 7 basic emotions: anger, envy, joy, sadness, shame, jealousy, and fear. Familiar companions on our paths to maturity. As you listen to these insights, you recognize the presence of these emotions in your own life. Behind each emotion often lie deeper causes. Perhaps disappointment with life, dissatisfaction with the present, anxiety about the future, a feeling of not fitting in, past traumas, or limiting beliefs we impose on ourselves. The crucial point emphasized by the book and the video share is that once we become aware of these deeper causes, we can more easily face our emotions. Instead of being swept away, controlled, and having our lives unconsciously dictated by them, we can look them straight in the eye and say, I see you now. I understand why you're here." Simply being able to name, identify, and express the emotion in a healthy way, even just to ourselves, begins the process of mastering it. Then, the emotion is no longer a tyrannical boss, but becomes a messenger, a signal, helping us understand ourselves better and adjust our behavior accordingly. Therefore, don't worry too much about maintaining an image, always appearing strong, or suppressing your feelings for fear of bothering others or being judged. Of course, we must learn to express emotions appropriately, at the right time, place, and without harming others. However, allowing ourselves to feel and release emotional energy, even negative energy, in a timely and reasonable way is vital for mental health. Let's practice the 3-step process. Understand the emotion, express the emotion healthfully, resolve the emotion or its root cause. This is the path to building emotional intelligence and living harmoniously with ourselves and others. And finally, the most profound message I take away from these insights is to calmly accept an imperfect self. We don't need to completely eliminate negative emotions or become someone who is always falsely cheerful. True perfection doesn't lie in never making mistakes or feeling sad, angry, or afraid. True perfection lies in our ability to cherish and embrace all emotions as part of the human experience, loving ourselves fully, with strengths and weaknesses, in moments of radiance and vulnerability. Imperfection is true perfection. I hope you and I can befriend all the emotions within us, listen to the messages they bring, and use their strength to bravely step forward on our journeys, creating more meaningful and complete lives. Thank you so much for listening to today's video of BookSmart Insights. I hope these sharings on understanding and mastering emotions through the lens of the book, The Strength of Emotions, have brought you some fresh and valuable perspectives. If you found this content valuable, please share it with friends who might also need to hear it. And of course, if you enjoy content about personal development through books like this, please support BookSmart Insights by hitting that like button and, most importantly, clicking subscribe and the notification bell icon so you don't miss out on the latest videos released. Your support is the greatest motivation for me to continue spreading knowledge. Thank you all so much once again. Wishing you a day or week filled with peace and joy in the simplest things. Goodbye, and I look forward to meeting you again in the following video.